Welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us on the Farm and Home Show. I'm Kristin Hildebrand, filling in for Miss Joanna Coles this week. And again, we have with us is Miss Rachel Rudolph. She's our Extension Vegetable Specialist with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning.
Yes, yes. I know we've been talking yesterday, we talked about benefits of high tunnels, and you showed us some different structures with high tunnels and some of the benefits related to those structures. But today, if you're interested in getting started,
so what do you need to do?
What do we need to do to get started?
For those of you who didn't catch yesterday, a high tunnel is just a covered structure used for season extension. So it protects crops from severe weather, rainfall, snow, that kind of thing. And you can grow, earlier in the spring, later into the fall, and even through the winter if you do it right. But so getting started before you've ever even put a high tunnel in or purchased a high tunnel kit, anything like that, it really involves site selection, careful site selection. So what do we mean by that? That's not only just involves the physical placement of the tunnel, but also the orientation of the tunnel. So thinking about, the wind on your farm, right? What direction it's coming from, the sun, trying to get the best orientation of the tunnel with respect to the sun, so your crops are growing as well as they can. And then access to, you don't need electricity for a tunnel, but people may want it later on. Some people add fans and that kind of thing later on, and so having that access to electricity. And then if you don't have a well or something like that, if you're on city water, then you need to have near access to water, right, for irrigation purposes. So all those things are really important to consider. And then drainage, so soil drainage, and know the soil that you're getting into. So a lot of people move to a new area, and they're like, I want to get a high tunnel. I need it
right off the bat.
Right off the bat. And I'd say get to know your area, right, and live there for a little while and know where the low spots are. If it rains all day, is there pooling somewhere? Is there a low spot? Does it get cold in one, in a lower spot? What happens? Really become familiar with your land before putting a high tunnel in.
I totally agree. So what do you think is the most important? I know you mentioned orientation and sunlight. What are some of those that we need to look for? So,
when you orient a tunnel, so if you're thinking about your crops, right, east to west will provide more overall light, but north-south is going to provide more uniform light. So that's kind of just, splitting hairs, right? You could do either way. Orienting the tunnel perpendicular to a breeze. If you don't have a light, strong wind that's not common in your area, then it's fine to orient your tunnel perpendicular to the direction of the wind. You'll get a lot of ventilation that way. However, where I grew up, we got wind, right? And so if you have strong winds, if that's common, then I would recommend people orienting the tunnel parallel to the wind. So those end walls are facing the wind. That's the strongest part of the tunnel. And so the least amount of damage is going to be likely if a strong wind comes. So just something for people to think about. If you've got to choose between wind and sun, I would say take care of your wind, because that might cause some damage to your tunnel, and that's an investment. That's infrastructure on your farm, so you want to protect it.
Gotcha. Now, would a windbreak or anything like that be useful?
Well, so you wouldn't want to plant too close to trees, right? Just because of the shade, the possible shade it could cause. But planting, somewhere near a windbreak, that might be nice. To just protect your tunnel a little bit more from the wind.
I see. Now, the last thing that we probably like to talk about here in the office a lot of times is the soil requirements. So what would be needed for a high tunnel like this where it's going to have a covered structure?
Right, so always get a soil test, and Kristin or your other local county extension agent can help you with that. Get a soil test before putting in the tunnel. Know what you're dealing with, know what soil type you have, know the nutrient requirements for the crop that you plan on planting, or the crops. Perhaps there's more than one. And then think about, what your starting material is. So the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the potassium, all that stuff you can add, but it's good to know where you're starting.
Right.
And then, know your cropping history.
Right.
So what was there before? Is there going to be herbicide residue? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, we appreciate you joining us. Make sure you tune back in here with us tomorrow for more Farm and Home and more high tunnel talk. Thanks. Have a great day.
If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.